Hello and welcome. The goal of this podcast is to get listeners connected with others in the sports industry because they say it's all about who you know, and now you know us. Well, hello and welcome to the Constant Sports Podcast. Today we're joined by Dr. Beth Cianfrone. Thanks for stopping by today.
Thanks, Connor. Glad to be here.
Awesome. And so just a little bit of a background for our viewers and listeners today. Dr. Cianfrone is the program director of the Sports Administration Program and co-director for the Center for Sport and Urban Policy at Georgia State University. She specializes in sports advertising and sponsorship effectiveness, emerging technology, and sport video games. I want to touch into that a little bit as well. Experimental design in sports marketing and sports consumer behavior, just to name a few. And Doctor has been there since 2007. Is that correct?
Yes, long time.
Awesome. So she's been in the industry for a while. She's got a lot of experience. So we're excited to dive in and to learn from her. And maybe she can give the listeners and viewers some tips and skills on how to be successful in the sports industry.
That's great. Let's do it.
All right, let's dive in. So can you give the viewers and listeners here, why'd you choose the sports industry? How did you kind of get down this career path?
Sure. Yeah, I guess similar to you and others, the sport industry it's fast paced. No 2 days look alike. It's very people centric, and most importantly, it lets you be around something that you love and you're passionate about. So that's all kind of what drew me in the field. Like many of you, I grew up playing sports my whole life, and everything we did socially was around sports, going to games, watching games on TV. So it's something that I was excited about, but I had no idea that it could be a career path. And so when I got to college, I ended up majoring in business for 2 years, not even realizing there was a degree in sport management. And I kind of accidentally was looking through the course catalog when I was a sophomore, which back then it was actually a catalog, a book that you would look through. Okay. And I saw a class that was called Women in Sports. And I was like, oh, I'm a woman, I like sports. Let's just take this and see what it's about. And the professor was Dr. Ruth Alexander, who had been the first athletic director for women's sports at the University of Florida. And, she started all of it around Title IX, and I just learned so much, and I loved the class. I switched my majors, and I kind of never looked back, and wanted to get into the industry from her. Awesome. So she was kind of your, I guess you could say, mentor, someone that you were looking up to. And did you have any other people like that as you were leading into the industry? Like, oh, I want to be, a team president because so-and-so is a team president? Yeah, no. So I was really interested in event management and the Olympics. So I thought I would want to be larger scale events. And so I didn't really pinpoint any individual people as being mentors, other than the faculty that I have, which maybe is why I ended up as a faculty member, because they were so influential in what I wanted to do. Gotcha. And then kind of touching on that faculty side a little bit, what kind of made you make the switch from the kind of the business side to the academic side as being the professor and the director and whatnot? Yeah. So after I did my undergrad in sport management, everyone sort of does the same thing. We do a lot of internships, a lot of volunteering for free. A lot of trying to just see what you like and what you don't like. And in doing all that, I decided I should probably get a master's so I can figure it out a little bit more. So I stayed at the University of Florida, did my master's. And while I was doing my master's, I did my assistantship as a teaching assistantship. So most of my friends did an assistantship within the athletic department. And I instead worked for a professor, helping with research, learning how to teach classes. And it still didn't really hit me that would be what I would want to do as a career. But then they started a PhD program. So just as I was graduating with my master's, they started that doctoral program, and they offered me, the ability to come and continue, get my PhD. And they were willing to give me a stipend and a tuition waiver, which is a huge draw and advantage. Yeah, so of course, kind of took advantage of it and ended up becoming a professor because of those great experiences working with the faculty and learning what it was all about. Got it. So one thing kind of led to another, and then, just kind of worked your way into the role now. Nothing really, there was never a teacher that wanted you to, made you want to be a teacher, just kind of
the career and the arc just kind of led you to being a professor?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that initial, meeting with that Dr. Alexander, she
Yeah,
really made me realize that
that's a possibility.
this is, something that people do. And then I
Hmm.
had other great faculty there. Dr. Greg Bennett was my advisor when I was getting my master's degree, and I worked for him for a year and a half or two. Um, and then I did my PhD, and Dr. James Jong was my advisor, and he taught me a lot about what the rigor needed to be to
Hmm.
become a professor. And it sort of came all full circle because when I was a doc student, I had a chance to actually TA for Dr. Alexander and then eventually teach that
Okay.
class for a full semester, that women in sports that I
Oh, wow, that's really
jumped
cool.
right in to begin with. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So just touching on base a little bit on kind of your specialties and whatnot. So you have a background in sponsorship, advertising, the effectiveness and whatnot. So if you could, kind of slow it down a little. Oh, I think I lost her there. Oh, there she is. There we go. If so, just touching base on the sponsorship and like effectiveness.
Okay.
You specialize in that. What makes a sponsorship effective? Is it always like a Super Bowl, or kind of what makes it effective and reach as many people as possible?
Yeah, I mean, the Super Bowl is a great example of like advertising and commercials. And then when we look at sponsorships, I think it's a complicated question.
Hmm.
And one that we study a lot is, what is effectiveness and what is showing effectiveness for these companies. But because the goals of a lot of these companies might differ, but the best
Hmm.
sponsorships or partnerships where both the team and the organization or brand sponsoring can each help each other reach whatever those goals may be. And to do that, integrating the consumer in some way that it appears and is truly authentic and genuine, um, as a good relationship should be. So I think
Right.
that that's kind of the key for a sponsorship in general to make it
Hmm.
be most effective.
Right. It's more like the two-way street. It's like kind of like the win-win deal. Both sides have to kind of be, they want something out of it, right? So I think that's kind of the basis of that is kind of what it sounds like.
Definitely. Yeah. And the more creative they can be,
Hmm.
and willing to try new things, those usually lend themselves to really good sponsorships.
Right. It kind of reminds me of, I think it was two Super Bowls ago when that company had the QR code. I forget who it was, Coinbase maybe or someone, and it like broke the entire site because everyone was like, "Oh, there's a QR code," and they went on their phone and did it. And I thought that was pretty cool. It's no one's really ever done that before, but stuff like
Yeah.
that
And new way
is
to use
interesting.
technology and, draw people in,
Hmm.
continuing people like at home, if you're viewing something and then you now continue it in your own device is kind of a
Right.
way to do it.
No, I'm with. And then kind of speaking on the device and the technology side, you specialize kind of in like the video game, I guess, space, the experimental designs or emerging technologies rather, and then sports video games. Can you give the viewers and listeners a little bit, of an insight of what that looks like and, possible, I guess, career paths, stuff like that?
Yeah, sure. Certainly, the gaming industry has changed quite a bit in the last 20 years or so.
Hmm.
Before it was, I studied mostly just traditional video games, so like
Hmm.
your traditional Madden or FIFA. And now, actually, like the esports industry has become a full fledged industry.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of opportunities, whether it's in the traditional video gaming space or like the consoles and so forth, or
Hmm.
the actual esports, which is where kind of some of our stuff has shifted in studying how like NBA 2K is integrating with the NBA teams and what
Yeah.
those brand partnerships kind of look like. So that's where most of my research is kind of shifted towards now, is more on that esports and like brand extension and so forth on the
Uh-huh.
game.
And are you seeing a lot of brands that are interested in that, or are they kind of like dipping their toes in the water, or are they just going full steam ahead?
I think a lot are going full steam ahead. There's been
Yeah.
so much money invested in a lot of these gamers and the different
Yeah.
teams, and uh, it's really it's a global phenomenon, which is
Hmm.
even better than some of the other partnership opportunities companies might be able to have, is because this
Definitely.
has such a wide reach, and it's reaching people like in their homes in a
Hmm.
different way than if you were to sponsor like the Atlanta Falcons. That's more of, you'd have to go to the stadium to see some of those
Right.
activations, whereas here it's it's much more wide scope and creating maybe more diverse audiences.
Right. Well, kind of speaking on the audiences and groups and whatnot, I know you're a member of a few, I guess you call them like professional memberships or whatnot, like the sports marketing or whatnot. Could you talk a little bit about those and maybe some different memberships our listeners should look out, maybe apply to or look into?
Yeah, professional memberships are a huge part of, growing your network, getting more knowledge. And certainly some of the ones that I'm a part of, the North American Society for Sport Management, Sport Marketing Association, are probably like 80% academics and then 20% practitioners. And so those are good ones if you want to kind of come in and see what the latest research is on topics and network with those groups. The NCAA certainly has their own, membership based groups, NACTA, NACWA, et cetera. But what I'm a huge fan of is Women in Sports and Events, WISE.
Yep.
They have chapters throughout the United States, and they give women a place to connect and grow as professionals. So that's one that maybe people don't think about or know about, and it doesn't matter which career area you're trying to get into.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. As we, the Constant Sports podcast, we've been talking to other people, and we actually were looking to talk to Dr. Wendy Dees here in a few weeks, and I know she's involved with that as long as yourself. So we're looking forward to going down that route and, I guess exploring that for our other, our women audience and trying to grow that as well. And then a little bit, so we're transitioning now to the Georgia State program.
Okay.
So could you give the viewers, listeners here, just a brief background on the program, how long it's been around, where it's located, obviously in Georgia, but just like the city, stuff like that?
Sure. Yeah. So Georgia State's Sport Administration Master's Program is in downtown Atlanta. So we are just a few blocks away from Mercedes-Benz Stadium, State Farm Arena. Our campus is embedded and is a traditional urban campus, which is really unique, I think, in sport management and really lends itself to a lot of really good opportunities to work with these teams. Our Georgia State's football team actually uses the old Turner Field, which is where the Braves used to play. Oh, wow. So around that area, it's growing. We have a new kind of convocation center and new community propping up there. So it's if you're not familiar with Georgia State, you hopefully are familiar with Atlanta, and we're right in the midst of all of that. The master's program was started in about 1985 by Dr. Rankin Cooter, who was also the athletic director at the time. And like a lot of the older programs, we're called Sport Administration, and we're housed in a College of Education and Human Development. So if you have maybe seen in other podcasts or when you look at programs, some of the ones that are older master's programs are called Sport Administration versus Sport Management. So we all teach the same things. It's just how they were originated. Yep. Typically bases where they're housed in. So newer ones would probably be in business schools. The older ones would be in probably College of Educations like we are. All that to say, we have a pretty established history, and we're fortunate to have alum all over the place since we've been around for a bit. Right.
And then what, as far as the program goes, kind of what's your favorite aspect, like personally, and then also the students when they come back? Was it, the area, like you're saying, that in downtown Atlanta? Is it the classes? Kind of what's like the overall, you could pick kind of favorite aspect?
Yeah, I think I would say our ties to the sport industry, which probably encompasses a few things, right? So the fact that we are downtown gives us advantages to grab those ties. But then we also have created these relationships and partnerships with a lot of organizations within the city or events that come through the city. Like every December, we work the SEC football championships as a group, and things like that are not necessarily housed in Atlanta all the time, but every year annually on a basis. So from those, I think that's what our students really enjoy, those opportunities that they have. And then our alum are a big advantage as well. So they're always willing to help us out and give back to Panther family.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, we'll touch on that a little bit here coming up. But yeah, the alums is to any program success is very influential. And then kind of starting from start to finish, how long does it take a student to go through the program? Is it a cohort model? Is it rolling admissions? Kind of go through that process.
Yeah, so we have it's a 36 credit program.
Mm-hmm.
9 credits is deemed full time. Students can enter in the fall, the spring, or the summer. And so with that, you would apply probably 6 months out on
Mm-hmm.
each of those, right? So the spring admission is in October, the fall admission is in early April, and then the summer admission is at some point in December or January.
Right.
So those are the 3 time frames we bring in students. The fall is the heavier class, but we do recognize that some students maybe are working in the industry and then they come back,
Mm-hmm.
and so they start up in the summer or the spring, depending on their personal calendars. It typically takes 2 years or 1.5 if they take
Mm-hmm.
courses in the summer. And our classes are 1 day a week for 2.5 hours, and we are all in person.
Got it. Got it. And then as far as the classes go, are you guys looking to add new classes? Is it like a core model that you've been using for a while? How does the class kind of those look like?
Yeah, so we have, I guess, a core set that we always offer. So, right, the
Mm-hmm.
main sport marketing, sport leadership,
Right.
organizational behavior, sport law, and cultural aspects of sport. And
Mm-hmm.
then we have a number of electives that our students then take to fill out the remainder of that 36 credits. And that usually lends itself to whatever our faculty are experts in. So
Right.
we have Dr. Sim Kellison, who's a leading expert in sport ecology and stadiums and urban policy. And so he teaches our sport facilities class and public policy. So ones that are really his areas of expertise. Dr. Lauren Beasley is a new faculty member that we have who's has a unique background in that she's a licensed social worker along with her PhD in sport management. And so she has expertise on mental health in sport. And it's been good that she's just started a brand new class on mental health systems and policy in sport admin. So these are, I think, some of the elements that are unique to our program,
Mm-hmm.
because those classes probably aren't being taught to this level across the country, because we have 2 folks that are really invested in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. I've never heard of those types of classes before. And so with the elective classes, do you have like an adjunct professors that kind of come in and out, and then you kind of base it off that, or is it you kind of have the program has the regular number of professors that teach the same classes?
Yeah, so we have that regular group that I just mentioned, and so those
Mm-hmm.
classes will always be offered as
Right.
electives. And then we do use 3 part-time instructors who
Mm-hmm.
are people who either work currently in the industry or have in the past. So we have one that teaches our sport data analytics, who worked for Turner Sports and did their
Mm-hmm.
analytics and now works at Delta. We have another who teaches our sport law class, who is a sport agent in the city of Atlanta. And then we have another who specializes in entrepreneurship, so teaches that class.
Oh, cool.
So we have kind of a unique elective courses, I think, compared to maybe some other programs.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That sounds really cool. And the professors are always such a huge part of the program, but then along with the students, and then of course the alumni. So as you were mentioning before, that you've had the program's been around for a while, so the extensiveness of the alumni is vast. So could you maybe name some places or companies that the alumni have gone on to work for since graduating from the program?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think our students are pretty much all over the country and world, which is
Mm-hmm.
really exciting. Some of them are, athletic directors at colleges and universities across the country. Some of the ones that maybe are in like the 10-year range or 15-year range of being out of school from their master's program. One's the director of branding for like the Las Vegas Aces. This is run the Las Vegas theme. I'll just stick there for a second. Another is like the director of game experience for the Las Vegas Raiders. So students are in different roles, I think, all across the country, which is really exciting to see. And they're all eager to give back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the eagerness to give back is there. Do you guys have alumni events that you do? Kind of how do you keep that group connected and strong?
Yeah, so one of the things that we just started this semester actually is a mentorship program. So students in our master's program who are interested in being partnered up with the industry professional we've paired them with an alum who then will meet with them for the semester a certain number of times, and just help that student figure out what they want to do, or if they already know,
Gotcha.
to maybe help them hone whatever skills they might need from a practical side. So that's one thing that we're really excited about, that just we're just starting underway.
Oh, wow. Cool. Yeah, really cool. That's awesome. And touching on the skills a little bit, as you've seen, what, in your time there at the program, what skills kind of have separated, the successful from maybe that not as successful? Is it like the hard skills or soft skills, a mixture of both?
Yeah, I
in
think
your eyes?
probably, yeah, it's a good question. Probably a mixture of both.
Hmm.
Strong academic performance usually comes from a few different things. It probably comes from, commitment, time commitment, being
Hmm.
able to critically think and write, and really taking advantage of, the readings and the opportunities that we provide. We have a email listserv that every Friday we send out job opportunities or internship opportunities or volunteer opportunities. So, if, for example, the Braves say that they have a Ronald Acuna baseball camp and they need 15 people to help, then we would
Hmm.
send that out on Friday, right? And so students who are interested in helping that camp would then go and work it, do some sport event operations and so forth. So I think the students that end up succeeding really early on in their sport career are ones who've taken advantage of those opportunities and then really made the most of kind of that classroom experience where we do, case studies and other experiential type opportunities in the classroom for them to learn the theories and then apply them once they get those practical experiences.
Right. Yeah. Kind of really just diving in and, you know, trying to immerse yourself in the industry is obviously, one of the better ways to go about it.
I was just saying, like you were saying, it's a fun and tough industry. A lot of people want to get
Yeah.
into it. So there's you need to have that passion for it.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And then kind of touching on the students still, like the prospective students and the skills when they're applying, are there certain things that the admissions teams looks at? Is it like the grade point average, a mixture of like relevant work experience? What does that look like?
Yeah, so we review kind of from a holistic approach. Strong
Hmm.
academic performance in your undergraduate is a good indicator of academic performance on the graduate level.
Hmm.
We ask a couple like essay questions that are
Okay.
critical thinking type questions. So seeing how they answer those two questions helps us get a better understanding of where their critical thinking skills are and their writing skills.
Hmm.
We do look at letters of reference from faculty as well as their resume, so what type of experience they have, and put that all together to try to see who might be the best fit for the program.
Right, right. And then as they kind of get through the program, what's one thing that you and your staff, when the students graduate and leave, what's maybe like one thing you want them to remember or take from the program itself?
Sure, yeah, I think I want them to be able to look at the sport industry with I guess a critical lens, to be able
Hmm.
to see that there are a lot of great aspects of sport, that there's a lot of elements of the sport industry that could be improved. And
Yep.
so that way they go through this program and maybe their eyes are open to some of the challenges that happen in the industry, whether it's, um, from a personnel perspective or
Hmm.
some of those maybe urbanization issues that happen when we bring stadiums into communities, or some of the challenges with student athletes with mental health. And there's a
Right.
lot of pieces of sport that are really challenging, and so hopefully at the end of the program our students have a better grasp on how to make a difference within a sport community,
Hmm.
um, from their experiences here.
Yeah, no, lovely. I love that. And then what does the future look like for the program itself going forward?
Yeah, so I think we've got some good things going. We
Hmm.
are happy to see that some major events are coming through Atlanta,
Yep.
which happens very frequently. But the World Cup is something that we're looking forward to, and we're already starting to have meetings on how our students would be involved in that. The college football playoff is
Of course.
changing, and so that's we're hosting the first one in a couple of years, and so those things are really exciting. We also have a number of graduate assistantship opportunities for students. So about
Hmm.
75% of our students are on a experiential partnership graduate assistant. So they'll work either within our athletic department, our campus recreation, or like 10 to 15 other sport organizations within the city of Atlanta, from private high schools to youth sport organizations to other athletic departments such as Georgia Tech or Kennesaw State or Agnes Scott.
Mm-hmm.
And so, or I think Emory's another one as well. So there's a number of college athletic departments within the city of Atlanta that also need graduate assistants, and we're the program that they use for those. So, there's opportunities for students to maybe work in the marketing department at one of those schools, or operations or facilities or sports information. And so that's something that we've done for a long time. But even moving forward, we are creating more of those relationships to create more opportunities for our students to get these stipends. They get a tuition waiver, and then certainly they get real world experience, which we then partner with some research projects at the end of their 2-year career here. So some of those things are really exciting for us. We also have an advisory board, which we're using right now a lot with that mentorship program that I mentioned. So we're really excited about the future here.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And a lot of cool things going on for the program itself. And we're looking forward to follow the future as well. And just kind of to wrap up, we'll do like a no huddle. I'll just kind of spitfire some questions and kind of the first thing, thoughts or whatnot that come to your mind. And then we'll just kind of go from there. So if you could pick one, what's your favorite course to teach?
I love the sport marketing class.
Okay. And then what's your favorite quote or motto or saying or whatnot?
Sure. Quote, saying, or motto. I think what I like is if we couldn't laugh, we'd all go insane, which is Jimmy Buffett's song.
Yep.
There's a lot of challenges in this industry. And so I think a good way to approach it is with laughter.
Agreed. Yep, that's perfect. And then what's your favorite book? Fiction, nonfiction, what have you?
Yeah. I love autobiographies. So I like hearing people's stories. So any autobiography on anyone's sports industry or otherwise, I really enjoy. I'm reading the one on the Vanderbilts by Anderson Cooper right now, and I think that's fascinating.
Yep, no, agreed. And what medium or what sources do you use to stay up in the sports industry?
Sure. Yeah, I use Twitter most frequently. Gives me a lot of really good, relevant examples to pull into my classes every day, and following different individuals helps me get different perspectives. So I think there's some good in lurking and watching people on Twitter.
Yep. No, Twitter is definitely a good space, especially in the sports industry itself. And then, thank you for the time today, jumping on the podcast, and I'll give you the time now to, promote any events or promote the program, give you the floor here.
Oh, sure. Thanks so much. I really enjoyed this. This is fun. So kudos to you and your crew for putting together this podcast for people who are interested in this field. I think education is a great way to get your foot in the door, and we're really proud and excited of all that we've done here at Georgia State. And if students are interested, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to have you apply. We are active on social media, so at GSU Sport Admin on all the places. So grab whatever platform's your favorite and check out the program just to see what our students are up to, what our alumni are up to, and what type of work our faculty are doing. So thanks so much for the time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it. And then we'll add all those links there. And then we also send out a weekly newsletter every Friday. So we'll add your program, admission dates, maybe some other events and whatnot to kind of keep the viewers and listeners up to date with all things Georgia State Sports Admin. So yeah, if you have any other events and whatnot in the future, we'll be able to shoot those out, and as long as as well as the socials. So yeah, thanks again for stopping by today, and we're looking forward to following the program and seeing all the great alum that come out of there.
Great, thank you so much. And as you just mentioned, there was one event that I just came to mind. We will have a online. We do like forums online where executives and practitioners and researchers talk about key topics. And so our next one will be on mental health space in sport, led by Dr. Beasley. So that's it online. It'll be a Zoom or a WebEx,
Okay.
and we'll send it out to faculty across the country. So we'd love to have students join if they're interested in that area, or industry executives if they want to learn more about the topic.
Yeah, that's great. We'll stay up to date on that and spread it out, and maybe I can jump on that as well. And I'd love to learn a little bit more about that. So that's
Great.
awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much.